What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I kind of was cleaning out, doing some, I guess, winter cleaning when I came back from my little hiatus and found that I had some pre-recorded matches with this Tornadus Umbreon deck that I completely forgot about. And by the way, the original idea was Oribomb, so I want to give a shout out to him for this deck idea that I decided to tweak a little bit and make my own. But basically it's around Tornadus with Jet Blast and Umbreon, making it insanely difficult to kill. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And as for the question of the day, as we get deeper into like the Gen 7 TCG, where like Sun and Moon, like all of these new sets are coming out, making X and Y slowly rotated out until eventually the entirety of X and Y will be rotated out. And it got me thinking, so the Legacy metagame on TCGO was created since I had been playing. Like it used to be unlimited, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't remember exactly, but it was created as a way in order to use Heart Gold and Soul Silver cards and not have to try to compete with the undeniable power creep of cards. I mean, let's be real, TCG has power creeped like crazy in every generation that happens, and although they've tried to tone it back a little bit in Sun and Moon, make it more back to like stage 2s, make it slower, what they did was they just made stage 2s all that much more powerful, so the power creep still took effect. And so yeah, that's the power creep is a thing. And my question is, what do you guys see the future of the legacy format as a whole? How do you see that moving forward? So basically what I'm thinking is eventually we're going to get to a point where all of X and Y has been rotated out, and it will be like Legacy is black and white down through Heart Gold, Soul Silver, that era. Expanded is going to be XY and black and white, and then Standard is going, well, Expanded will be black and white up through whatever is current, and then Standard is whatever is current. Now eventually they're going to get to a point where, I don't know, I feel like they will have to create another pseudo Legacy format or just include XY in Legacy. Now I don't want XY included in Legacy because XY had a huge power creep in specifically Night March. And I mean, Night March would absolutely demolish any Legacy deck, any and every Legacy deck that I have. And so my thought is, when it gets to that point, I think they will actually make a second format. Like there will be a Legacy 1, Legacy 2 format type of thing, where you'll still have like Legacy 2 being Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but then Legacy 1 will be like XY through black and white, that type of thing, and then Expanded will work from there. So I mean, that's what I think the future of the Legacy format will look like. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below as XY gets rotated out and we get into like Gen 8, Gen 9, because let's be real, guys, Pokemon is still making so much money that Gen 8 and Gen 9 are all but inevitable at this point. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the future of the Legacy format. Do you think they will just have it include X and Y, or do you think they will create an entirely new format for that different type of separation? Anyway, onto the deck. Like I said, this is centered around Tornadus-EX and Umbreon, and this is kind of a pseudo Turbo Torn. It was like, I originally wanted it to be Turbo Torn, but then I was like, okay, Turbo Torn isn't exactly that reliable. I kind of want it to be a little bit better, but still have elements of Turbo Torn in it. And then Oribomb posted the deck list with Umbreon, and I was like, you know what, this looks like exactly what I'm looking for. So I tweaked it a little bit for my own purposes, but I still think that this deck is very, very fun to play. And like I said, centered around Tornadus-EX 180 HP, so it is the bulkier EXs with Jet Blast for 4 energy. I mean, it's a lot. It's 4 energy, which is a lot, but considering you have things like Colress Machine and DCE able to contribute to that, it's really not as bad as you might think. And then 4 for 60, I mean, that's awful, but then does 30 more damage for each plasma energy attached to this Pokemon. Now, routinely you'll be able to get around 2 plasma energy in a DCE, so for 4 energy, does 120 with no drawbacks, which is decent. But in the rare awesome occasion that you're able to get 4 plasma energy on it, you're doing 180 damage. You're just knocking things out left and right. And then the whole strategy of this deck is also with things like Aspertia City Gym adding HP, Umbreon adding HP, and then Eviolite, just basically making Tornadus incredibly difficult to take down is really the goal of this deck. And that's what our strategy is really centered around. So I'm just going to go through the Pokemon in a line. We have 4 Eevee. Now we're running 4 Eevee because while the strategy is mostly around Umbreon, which is why we are running 3 of those with the Dark Shade, each of your Team Plasma Pokemon gets 20 HP, gets plus 20 HP, and yes, those do stack. So if you have 3 Umbreon in play, Tornadus suddenly has 240 HP at an Aspertia City Gym, and Tornadus has 260 HP. I mean, that's just absolutely nuts. I decided to throw in a copy of Glaceon with the Freeze Zone ability. Retreat cost for each of your Team Plasma Pokemon is 2 less. Now, you could run a 4th Umbreon definitely for more HP, but considering that Umbreon gives each of our Team Plasma Pokemon free retreat, particularly with Tornadus, that's really, really nice, and why I decided to keep Glaceon in this spot instead of a 4th Umbreon. But again, try that out for yourself. Let me know what you guys think. I just found that a Glaceon getting free retreat is very, very, very nice. 1 Smeargle just to try to help with our setup as much as possible. 4 Tornadus, absolute max number. Even though if our opponent knocks out 3, we will lose the game. The fact that we have 4 means that we will more than likely, well, it gives us the highest odds of starting with it and being able to power it up as quickly as possible. And then 1 Thundurus, because once the Team Plasma energy, or the Plasma energy, are in the discard pile, we have no way of getting them back apart from reusing a Shadow Triad to try to get them back, but then that also uses up our supporter for the turn, which is something you don't want to always do. So running 1 copy of Thundurus-EX gives us the ability with Ride Knuckle to recycle some of our Plasma Energy and our DCEs, just a little bit of special energy recursion right there. 4 Colress Machine lets us set up Tornadus as fast as possible, contribute to the somewhat Turbo Torn aspect of this deck. 2 Dual Ball. Now this is, okay, this line of search is interesting. So only 2 Dual Ball because, I mean, first of all, I'm running, okay, 2 Dual Ball, 2 Level Ball, and 3 Plasma Ball. Just, I don't know, I was very, very torn as to what I wanted to do with this deck because Dual Ball only, well, gets out everything except for the Evolutions. Level Ball gets out Smeargle and Eevee and also Glaceon to a lesser extent, but it does not get out Umbreon. That's why there's only 2 Level Ball, otherwise I would run a little bit more. Basically, between these two, I decided to split it. I decided to split 4 between these two just because they work for different things at different times. I might actually, I don't know, if I were you, I might cut both Level Balls for another Dual Ball and another Plasma Ball. I just found instances where if I had Level Ball or Plasma Ball, I would have preferred, or if I had Dual Ball or Plasma Ball, I prefer the other, and Level Ball is just kind of a decent-ish middle ground. But again, try it out for yourself, let me know what you guys think. And then 3 Plasma Ball to just get out our Tornadus, our Thundurus, or our Evolution, depending on what we need. 1 Catcher, just as kind of a personal touch. I don't like my opponent thinking that they can just bench whatever they want and not have to worry about it. 1 Random Receiver to potentially turn Junk Arm into a supporter. Scramble Switch as the A-spec of choice in order to not only switch our Pokemon out, but conserve our Plasma Energy. That way, if a Tornadus gets heavily damaged, we can just Scramble Switch into another Tornadus and move all the Plasma Energy onto that, and then just continue what we were doing. 1 Switch, just get out of things like Paralysis, stuff like that. 1 Tool Scrapper to turn off Garbodor, because this deck really relies on abilities, particularly Umbreon and Glaceon, well, actually entirely on Umbreon and Glaceon. So having our abilities really helps this deck out a lot. 2 Aspertia City Gyms for the longevity, and then 2, 3, 4 of N, Juniper, and Sycamore for N, Juniper, and Pont. Sorry, not Sycamore. Sycamore would be right here, but that's not even legal in Legacy. And then 2 Shadow Triads for the aforementioned recursion of Plasma Energy, or things like Plasma Ball, Colress Machine, that type of thing. 2 Eviolites to help out with the longevity of Tornadus. You could use Giant Cape. I prefer Eviolite because it essentially, okay, Tornadus is not going down in 1 hit. That means your opponent will be more than likely 2-hit KOing it. So Eviolite is essentially 40 extra HP, while Giant Cape is only 20. Again, personal choice, up to you guys what you want to run. 3 Blend Energy specifically for Thundurus, be able to Ride Knuckle, but also be able to attack with Glaceon in order, well, so Suicune doesn't just completely keep us from being able to do anything. And then 4 DCE and 4 Plasma Energy, because that is what Tornadus runs off of. So I'm sorry, I talked for way longer than I wanted to. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have got one against a C. Miller 419 with a Dragon, Grass, and Fire deck. So I honestly have zero idea what my opponent is running. They do win the coin flip, meaning that they will probably want to go first, and they will get a mulligan card at the very least, because I start off with a bunch of evolutions. Like, I like to see those, but I want to see them a lot later, you know, when I have like multiple Eevee down. Then that's when I want to see those things, not in my opening hand. Like, that's just no thank you, just hard pass, hard pass. So we are going to mulligan and start off with, honestly, not the worst thing in the world. I mean, I start with an Eevee, I have a Plasma Ball that I can just use to get a Tornadus, I can DCE up, I can switch right into it. So, I mean, it's not, like, my hand isn't bad. Like, it's not great, but it's not bad by any means, and alright, looks like we were up against somebody who does not have, like, a specific thing in mind with their deck, apart from maybe just, like, a fire theme, and this is actually getting a lot better. So, I am going to be able to Plasma Ball, and if I get... how many plasma? 3 in the deck. Ooh, if I get a Junk Arm or another Colress Machine, I will be able to actually attack and take a knockout this turn. So let's Colress Machine first. Go put that right on the Tornadus. And actually, I can even just Shadow Triad. Like, no need to waste it at this point. Colress Machine once again for that Plasma Energy, and we're able to attack. So this actually worked out perfectly. I mean, I could have gotten more set up if I had gone for the Juniper, but I think just getting an attack off immediately was much better, and I even get the Junk Arm for next turn to maybe get like an Umbreon up with the Plasma Ball, which would be very nice. So right now, Tornadus is set up, Tornadus is here, Tornadus is now, and my opponent is going to be forced to deal with that Heatran. Okay, so it really doesn't do a whole lot. Let's go ahead and Junk Arm. Unfortunately, I get a Junk Arm with my Junk Arm. I have to Junk Arm a Junk Arm away with my Junk Arm, which is not something I'd like to do. And yeah, let's just grab an Umbreon. Might as well get that thing set up already, have my Tornadus able to take hits a whole lot better, and then Juniper away my hand, get a fresh hand of 7, sorry, and there we go. This is looking a whole lot better. This is really looking a lot better. And I'm going to hold on to the Colress Machine. I really have no reason to play it at this point. I'm able to take the knockout. I can play it next turn if I need to, and I kind of want to get another Tornadus set up, unless... actually, because I got this Plasma Energy off of my prizes, I might be able to one-shot this Heatran, which will be really nice. And what the heck? That's a Chikorita. Why is that a Chikorita? Heat Bailer will be able to do a whopping 40 damage, but we're going to take 2 prizes at this point. So first things first, get another Umbreon up, Colress Machine, get the second to last Plasma Energy onto my Tornadus, manually attach this last Plasma Energy that I have in my hand, Dual Ball, see what I can get, and I actually get 2 heads, so it's very lucky for me, unlucky for my opponent. Let's grab an Eevee and a Thundurus instead of a Tornadus, because, I mean, again, I have all the Plasma Energy on my active Thundurus, and then, or on my active Tornadus. Man, I'm messing those two up a lot. And, ooh, this is really nice. So, let's go ahead and Jet Blast, knock out this Heatran, take 2 more prizes, and obviously my opponent is not playing a super competitive deck, but I mean, that's kind of the legacy format for you. I mean, you take what you can get. I mean, if you even get battles, you have to consider that a win, unfortunately. So, I mean, I'm just playing this deck, showing you what it can do. I can even potentially get another Umbreon. Actually, I'll probably go for a Glaceon for that free retreat. And my opponent has a Meganium Prime, so that's really cool. And a Silence, so... yeah, I mean, unless my opponent plays down another Pokemon, I'm just going to be able to take the win on this coming turn. Like, I have the absolute perfect setup. Like, all I would have to do is play down a Glaceon, give free retreat to my Plasma Pokemon, play down the Blend Energy on my Thundurus to be able to recall energy from the discard pile, and yeah, my opponent really had absolutely no chance at that point, and Thundurus able to get set up quickly and just take the game right there. So that was a very... like, I know we weren't up against a super competitive deck, but I mean, I still got to show what the deck was able to do in Game 1, and that's... I mean, that's awesome, especially with how fast we were able to get set up. It showed a little bit of the turbo aspect of this deck as opposed to the longevity aspect, which I hope to showcase later. But yeah, that was a good first game. Let's go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against All Burnt Out. No, it's All Burnt Out. Wow, good job, Sticks. With, honestly, I have no idea what deck this guy is running either, so we will see how that goes. We do win the coin flip, meaning that we will get to go first again, which, I mean, I always am a fan of going first. That's a very positive thing in my book, anyway. We start off with a solid-ish hand. So I have a Smeargle, I have the ability to get an Eevee out, as well as a Tornadus. So, I mean, okay, my hand is solid and definitely usable. Like, I can definitely work with this hand. It's just a matter of how I work within my opponent. Yanma and Excadrill. So, unfortunately, I mean, okay, I could be very, very wrong. I could be very wrong, but it looks like my opponent is not playing a super competitive deck, and no, they are not. They're just using that, and I think... do I want to just Juniper away my hand? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I mean, my opponent's not playing a competitive deck, which is unfortunate because this looked like it could be a very solid battle. At least from the start, and I mean, I could always see like Yen Mega Prime and Excadrill could be a cool deck. I'm not sure what Excadrill you would run, but I mean, that still could be a cool combination that could be difficult to handle given the right scenario, but considering my opponent has Superior and 3 different types of energy in his hand and doesn't look to be running any sort of Ho-Oh type of deck, then I have to think that this isn't a particularly competitive deck. But I mean, I could be wrong. Could be wrong. So we will see. My opponent attaches a Water to the Yanma, then goes for a Heavy Ball, grabs... okay, so this isn't even like... that's just a random Excadrill. Okay, I thought there might be some like cool one that I was just completely forgetting about, but that is not the case. And it looks like my opponent is just going to attach Heavy Ball and pass. That's fine with me. It allows me, oh, get an Umbreon. That's very nice to draw immediately. Play the energy onto the Tornadus. I'm going to go ahead and switch it. My opponent did not draw anything, I'm almost positive. And if I can get a Colress Machine, I can get a knockout this turn. And I even get another Umbreon, so that's even better for me. Colress Machine on to my active Tornadus, get another Umbreon, and I can also Plasma Ball. I want to grab another Tornadus. Yeah, I think I do. Might as well start getting that thing powered up in the background in the off chance that the active one gets knocked out. Play the Aspertia, and then knock out my opponent's Yanma with a Jet Blast. Which, okay, again, turn 2 Jet Blast, off to a great start. I even draw into a Plasma Energy. I can power up my Tornadus on the bench, attach the DCE, Junk Arm for another Colress Machine, attach to that, attach the Plasma later. Really, I don't know if there's anything my opponent can do given the deck that he's running, and also the fact that I have a resistance to Excadrill, which will make me even more difficult to take out given the Aspertia and the 2 Umbreons, and he does just attach and pass, so this is going to be a very quick game, and this is going to be over after this turn, so I might as well just go for as much overkill as possible. Attach, and just Jet Blast to knock him out. I mean, I could have gone for the full, but I decided, if my math is off or something like that, I want to have my other Tornadus powered up in the background, but it really did not end up mattering as we were able to just take that game very easily and very convincingly against a non-competitive deck. So, unfortunately, we are 0 for 2 in terms of getting matches that are competitive. But at the same time, I mean, the deck has worked very, very well, so at least I've been able to show off what this deck can do. And I guess we're just going to keep going until we find a match that's good enough, I guess is going to be how I'm having to describe Legacy at this current point. But yeah, let's go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Lei and Rue with, okay, this looks somewhat promising. I mean, you have Fighting, Dark, and Water. I mean, could be like Keldeo, could be Darkrai. I mean, there's definite possibilities for this match, so I'm kind of just crossing my fingers hoping that it ends up being a good one. Waiting on my opponent to go for the coin flip, so hopefully they don't go AFK, because based on the makeup of my opponent's deck, it looks like it does have the chance to be a good deck. And all right, so we start off with a great hand apart from the fact that we don't have a draw supporter. I have Eevee. I'll be able to get 2 Eevees down. I'll be able to get hopefully a Tornadus this turn, and then I can just Plasma Ball for a Glaceon next turn if I decide to go that route. So I mean, it's a very, like, I'm actually in a good spot. Like, I think this is a very solid start to this game. My opponent does have a couple. I'm going to hold on to the Eevee. I might as well. There's no use doing that. There's no use not playing it down, and I take it back. So we see the Kangaskhan and a Magikarp. I do get 2 heads, so let's see how many Pokemon we have. We have a Smeargle and a Tornadus. We have 3 Umbreon in the deck. So that is something that I can definitely work with. Let's play that down here. Play the Tornadus down right there. DCE up my Tornadus, and then let's Plasma Ball for an Umbreon. And then I'm going to Shadow Triad for that Plasma Ball to be able to get a Glaceon. That way I have free retreat for this next turn. And I'm just going to end my turn right there. I'm not going to go for the Glaceon just yet, because if my opponent ends me, then I do have an extra way of bringing out a Glaceon, as opposed to just having to rely on the fact that I'll draw into that or have 1 less Team Plasma Ball that I'm able to play. And yeah, so man, the Legacy ladder is so dead. Like, I've edited out a ton of matches as well that haven't done anything in particular. Like, the matches that I've edited out have been ones where I just straight up, like, I either just destroy my opponent like within the first couple turns, or they leave. So basically the Legacy ladder is just dead today. And for that, I apologize. But, ooh, we have a Suicune and a Kyurem. So this has potential to be a somewhat difficult match. So that's actually really, really cool. And that's something that I'm definitely going to, I'm going to have to work around that. So this match actually now has potential. Like, it's obviously not a super competitive deck by my opponent, but it is still a very cool match that I will have to be dealing with. And I'm going to play this onto the Glaceon. This way I have a way of attacking my opponent's, I have a way of hitting my opponent's Suicune. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go for right there. I can attach next turn, and putting Smeargle up probably wasn't the best play. I probably should have retreated and gone for Windfall with my Tornadus. But at the very least, I don't have my Tornadus active to take a hit, and my opponent does get 2 Girder up, which means that Conkeldurr will eventually come up, and there's a Hypnotoxic Laser. That's also a reason I did not want to promote my Tornadus, just in case, my opponent decides to do that. And Kangaskhan calling for family is going to be a little bit annoying. Well, not really anymore, because now he has a full bench, so it's not annoying anymore. I just gotta hope that I actually top deck right into that. That is beautiful for me. Let's play the Plasma Energy onto my Tornadus, and then Oak's New Theory, or Pont, see what else we can get. And we get, okay, so this works. Let's grab a Thundurus. Let's go ahead and do that, and then end my turn right there. Smeargle is just going to kind of be up there. I really hope that my opponent sends up his Kyurem to knock out the Smeargle, or he manages to knock out the Smeargle in some other way. That way I don't have to be the one to try to retreat Smeargle out, because Smeargle is just kind of dead weight at this point. Call for family again. I can't use Portrait either because I am statused, and so this is starting to be kind of annoying. So let's DCE up the Glaceon. That way I at least have that thing able to attack. And then Plasma Ball for Tornadus, I have enough that I can just afford to throw one away. And there are my Colress machines, so this is great. Let's Colress Machine once onto the Tornadus, and I can Colress Machine again later if I want to, and actually that might just be now. So let's go ahead and Colress Machine once again onto this Tornadus, get 2 of them powered up. I can Dual Ball as well, but I really don't think that I want to at this point. I can just do it to get rid of cards. But this is annoying because also Smeargle's not going to go down to thanks to the Aspertia City Gym. So Smeargle is going to live a lot longer, give my opponent more chances to set up, which is something I really really can't afford at this point, because I mean, I'm set up. But my opponent, even though not running a super competitive deck, is also somewhat getting set up as well. So that's just kind of a thing that I don't want to have to worry about. Granted, I do get... Okay, so this is nice as well. Should I just Colress Machine to get rid of it? I don't think so, and I'm holding on to the Level Ball. For once Smeargle goes down, I can Level Ball for an Eevee to get another Umbreon set up, and that way my Tornadus just will never die. Really hoping my opponent counters my Stadium, because right now my Stadium's keeping them in the game, because otherwise Tornadus would just be getting a ton of KOs right now, and we both seem to be stuck. We both seem to not have a whole lot of stuff that we can deal with, and yeah, Smeargle should be down right now, but unfortunately it's not. So, is there anything I can Shadow Triad for? Not really. So I think at this point I'm just going to Oak's New Theory and go from there. Man, I don't even get an energy to manually retreat out Smeargle with. So at this point, to increase my odds of drawing into something that I can use, I'm just going to go ahead and grab that Eevee. And then let's end the turn right there. Hopefully, man, the Aspertia is being a little bit annoying right now with my Smeargle. So my opponent luckily has not gotten Suicune or Kyurem set up at all. Finally gets another energy and will be able to take a knockout right now. Really doesn't matter how many heads gets on Comet Punch. Like that was enough to knock out my Smeargle. But at this point, I can send up my Tornadus, and now I will start being able to knock stuff out. And I even get the Umbreon off the draw, which is very nice as well. So yeah, we're in a great spot. Let's Dual Ball to just increase our chances of drawing something we want. Get 2 tails, it doesn't matter. Let's just go ahead and Jet Blast and knock out this Kangaskhan and finally start taking prizes. I have the Glaceon set up in the background to be able to deal with my opponent's Suicune in the event that he brings it up, which he probably will. I feel like my opponent doesn't have anything, so yeah, the play is 100% to go into Suicune to try to buy some time and keep me from taking knockouts. Gets a Conkeldurr up, which, not too worrisome. But what I can do right here is, even though my Tornadus even though my Tornadus cannot attack, what I can do is just retreat right back into my Glaceon and attack. And I'm going to Juniper, get rid of my hand. Yes, I am somewhat running low on cards, but at this point, I mean, I just want to have things that I can work with. I really just want to have cards that I can deal with. Let's Icy Wind, put my opponent's Suicune to sleep. I mean, it's not going to be able to attack this next turn. If he does retreat it out, I just go back into Tornadus and rinse and repeat this whole thing and be able to just knock something out eventually thanks to the free retreat from Glaceon, and I will be able to knock out my opponent's Suicune. Let's start powering up the Tornadus a little bit more, just so that way I have a DCE for later. Let's see what else is in my deck. My Scramble Switch is there. Okay, so let's just go ahead and Icy Wind, knock out my opponent's Suicune, take another prize, and now that my opponent does not have another Suicune, my Tornadus is free to just absolutely run rampant on my opponent, and yeah, we're in a great spot right now. Like, I know my opponent does not have the most competitive deck by any stretch of the imagination, but you got to see like this deck do what it does, like get Tornadus set up, just be impossible to kill. You even got to see Glaceon to a lesser extent, like how it deals with matchups that are less than ideal, like up against Suicune. You have Glaceon that can easily 2-hit KO it, stuff like that. So, I mean, I really do like this deck. Like, this is a very cool deck. My opponent does play Twins, so I mean, at the very least, they have cards that are competitive. I mean, you see the Suicune, you see the Kyurem. It just looks like they don't have enough of it. Just looks like they don't have enough competitive stuff to build a competitive deck, which, I mean, I'm not knocking at all. Like, get out there, try different formats, like try whatever you want, like just play. Like, that's what's awesome about it. But I'm just making an observation about my opponent's deck. So let's go ahead and Jet Blast. Yeah, he will be able to hit me for some solid damage with Outrage this coming turn, but thanks to Umbreons plus Aspertia plus the Eviolite, my Tornadus is not going to be going down. And he'll be able to hit me for a base of 150 this turn, and even able to hit for a little bit more thanks to that black belt. But again, he's not going to be able to do much of anything. How much does it do? 40 more, wow. So with a black belt, with a base of 150, he still didn't knock out my Tornadus because of the Eviolite and the Aspertia. I would have been able to knock out that Kyurem, take 2 more prizes, and my opponent does just decide to concede at this point. I mean, can't blame them. I had everything set up. I would have been able to knock out the Kyurem and pretty much win the game at that point. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, these matches were not the most competitive. Like, we didn't go up against any competitive Legacy decks, but I still got to show off what this deck can do, and that's... I'm reminded what the Legacy ladder is like now that I'm back in the TCG, so I apologize for that, but hopefully you did enjoy seeing this deck do what it can do and how it deals with different situations. And as always, hope you guys enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.